right, everyone. Thanks for coming. I know you're all very busy and you have a lot on your plates right now, but I appreciate you carving out some time so we can meet and talk about Mario. So, how are we all doing today? Having a good day?
Yep.
Yep. Were you busy at the shop today?
Yep.
Like always, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Mrs. Smith? How was your day?
Oh, I got the laundry done.
Oh, laundry's the worst. Laundry's the worst. How'd it go in your room today, Mrs. Levine?
It was a good day.
Good day. Awesome. Well, glad. I'm glad that we're starting off on a positive note here today. So, I always like to start these meetings off with a lot of hope and positivity. So, I wanted us to kind of talk about Mario and some positive things he's good at, great things about his personality, and try to keep the focus on what a great kid he is and how we're here to help him with his needs. So, do you want to start, Mrs. Levine?
Sure. I love how Mario can bring kind of a funny aspect to any situation. He can bring some jokes to it, and he's really good at working with his hands.
What do you think, Mom?
He does like to work on stuff at home. He's not good at putting it back together, but he does like to take it apart.
Okay.
I just like that he stays out of my way most of the time.
Okay. So
Keeps
he's
himself busy.
Okay, keeps himself busy. That's great, yeah. So some things I've kind of noticed in evaluating Mario and working with him is that he's a pretty active kid. He does have some great visual spatial intelligence, which is wonderful. Not a lot of people have that gift. He probably gets it from his dad. So that's great. He's very artistic and he's a really great math student. So he's got a lot of wonderful skills and some really great personality traits. So, well, obviously we're here today because he has been having a hard time in some areas of his education and in his behavior. So let's go ahead and talk about any concerns that you two have with regard to Mario and his schoolwork or how he behaves at school.
I don't think you guys have taught him how to read any better than last year.
Okay. That's fair. Okay.
So that's my biggest concern is that you haven't gotten anywhere with him.
Okay. Yeah, and I can see where his lack of progress would certainly lead you to be concerned about that because it has raised a lot of red flags for us now as well. So, what about you?
I just want him to do sports.
Okay.
That's all that seems to matter to him. That's all that mattered to me in school. I didn't do that great in school. I turned out fine.
Okay, yeah. Well, he certainly has a lot of skills and interests that will help him to go really far in life. But I think we can all agree that learning to read, like you said, is an important life skill, and we definitely want to intervene now to really help him bridge that gap he has in his reading skills. So that's why we're here today. Mrs. Levine, what are your concerns for Mario?
He's off task a lot, and sometimes relating with other kids is hard for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes to disturb the class often, especially when they ask him, if it's hard for him, he'll be off task, and if he bothers them and they ask him to stop, then he'll just kind of be very disruptive and kind of gets the whole class riled up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that is certainly reflected in the observations that you made of his behavior in the classroom. When those frustrations levels rise, he can be verbally and physically disruptive. And you're right, I, in my observation of him, did see when if things were too rigorous or he was confused, he would engage in whispering to other kids. If they said something that made him feel any kind of anxiety about his skills, he would certainly explode. The other thing that was noted in the observation was that he often shows up like without his book, without his pencil. He kind of forgets those things. So supporting him in those areas where he can remember the things that he needs so he can be successful and feel like he's prepared to come into the classroom and ready to work. So when we called you both to sign papers so that we can evaluate him. We talked about the presenting problems, which we just sort of discussed at the beginning of this meeting. So he has two different problems that we wanted to address. The first one was that Mario is only getting about one comprehension question right when he engages in comprehension exercises with 6th grade reading text. And so on a 9-question worksheet, he's getting 8 of those questions incorrect. So,
Well, he's not dumb.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're right, he's not. And there's nothing wrong with him. I know a lot of times when parents start to look at this data that we're going to talk about, well, what does that mean? And really what it means is that he just has some needs that are different than what he can get just in a general education classroom all on his own. And so it's our job to make sure he gets what he needs so he can learn and show us what he knows, because he is a very intelligent young man, and you'll see when we talk about the data that he really is. So the other issue that we wanted to help Mario with is that he is having temper tantrums 4 out of 5 days, where he's physically or verbally lashing out at other students. And part of the reason why he gets frustrated sometimes is just that frustration over his ability to understand and comprehend the text and directions, and also that he's coming unprepared. So he's forgetting to bring his book, his notebook, his homework, and his pencil. So he's showing up already at a disadvantage when he doesn't have those things. So today we're going to talk about kind of the evaluation data and the plan we've put together to help Mario with these 2 areas of his education so he can be successful. So basically, what I'm going to talk to you about right now is what we've done for Mario so far, and I've kind of provided you a copy of the IEP and some of his testing data summary so you can look at it. So basically, where we started with Mario was with the RTI process, because we are an RTI school. And so that means for 8 weeks at the beginning of the school year, Mrs. Levine worked with Mario in the classroom to give him the core instruction that everybody gets. But when she noticed he was struggling, she differentiated and would restate things, work a little bit with him one-on-one, do things to try to motivate him, and just differentiate that instruction to try to help him in the classroom to be successful. And we wanted him to have an achievement score of 25%, and after 8 weeks he was at 20%. And so that told us what we're doing isn't quite working, he needs more help. Okay? And so then we moved on to the next level of RTI, which meant that he would get everything he was getting in the classroom, plus for 8 weeks, he'd get 3 times a week, 60 minutes, working in a small group with a teacher, where he would be with him and then 3 other students in a very small group, so he could get some really focused time. And he would get that for 60 minutes, 3 times a week. And we did see some growth with that, more intensive instruction. So he was able to produce an achievement score of about 22%. However, he didn't quite make the mark again. So we wanted to go ahead and give him more support. So around the time we started to evaluate, we went ahead and put him with a reading coach, where he worked 5 days a week with this reading coach one-on-one for 60 minutes at a time. And then when he was retested at the end of 8 weeks, he had grown a little bit more to 23%. But like I said, that wasn't enough growth. So to maximize his success at school, what we wanted to do was evaluate, and we used psychological evaluation, which just looks at all the different areas of his skills and learning. And what we want to know is, what is his expected achievement? And then are there any deficiencies, any areas in his cognitive abilities that would be related to central nervous system disruption? We had already talked to you and ruled out that there was no traumatic brain injury. So that kind of tells us that there's something going on in that brain. It's having a hard time firing together. And so we wanted to look at that. So basically, we have a few pages of testing data here, and I can summarize for you kind of what we tested. So when we first evaluated Mario, what we found was that his expected achievement level should have been a score of 96, okay? Right away, there were two red flags that showed up. His oral language and his total reading skills tested at 76, okay? So we went ahead and we ran that through our equations. And what we're looking for is a severe discrepancy of at least 22 points. In the state of Wyoming, for him to qualify as having a specific learning disability to be placed into special education support services, we need a discrepancy of 22 points. And so when we look at his achievement level, which came out at a 96, when we look at that compared to 76, obviously, we subtract those two numbers, it's just 20 points. He was 2 points shy. However, when we look at his RTI data, teacher observations, and this evaluation, we aren't going to just, 2 points away, sorry Mario, and leave him in the dust. So what we do then is we were able to apply a standard error of measure, which basically means that there are errors that can occur when we test him that aren't necessarily his fault. And after we put it through that equation, we added 4 points to his expected level of achievement, which put him at 98 when you subtract his two scores for oral language and total reading. 98 minus 76, that leaves us at a 22-point severe discrepancy. So he does qualify, according to Wyoming state law, to be placed in a special education program for support in the area of oral language and reading. So what we've decided for Mario's diagnosis here as a team is that he has a specific learning disability in oral language and reading, and also we have seen evidence of an emotional disability in the form of acting out. So basically what this means is that Mario gets some extra support and protection so that his needs can be met. What it does not mean is that we're going to pull Mario out and away from other kids and put him in a room by himself all day, because it's just not the best environment for him to learn in. So what we're going to talk about now is his least restrictive environment. That means we want to put Mario in an environment where he's learning with kids his own age.
Will he go to the dumb school?
No, he gets to stay at this school.
Oh,
And we don't really have any dumb schools or anything like that. He is a bright little boy. He gets to stay with his friends and his peers and his teacher, who he has a relationship with. And we're going to be giving him...
Because he likes you.
Yeah, he's a good boy. So we want to keep him where he feels comfortable. And also, it's beneficial to him to have those peers around him. Kids learn a lot from their friends. And
He never talks about his friends.
oh yeah, we're going to talk about that as well, because that's one area of concern we have with his ED, is that he does need a little help with some social skills and connecting with his peers, and we've actually put some parts into the plan to support that. So that's why we want to keep him around his peers. So in the regular classroom, we've decided that it'll be his least restrictive environment for him to attend classes in the regular classroom with his teacher, and that she'll provide accommodations in there for him so that when he's in there learning, he's getting the optimum amount of information during reading time, and it's delivered in a method that he can process and is easier for him to comprehend and then reflect his learning back. Okay? So when he does come to the resource room, what we've decided is that in addition to his regular education classroom time, he's going to get some intensive one-on-one reading and oral language instruction from me, the special ed teacher. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that for about 4 times a week.
So when does he go? Because he says the kids make fun of him when he leaves the classroom.
Right. So the way we kind of have things here at middle school, kids move around quite a bit. And so, and they've seen me in the classroom. I kind of go around and help with all the kids. They don't really know who I'm looking at when I'm evaluating or helping kids. And so what my plan is for, because we have so much fluidity, for me to come in and begin working. And what I can do is maybe when Mario's working in a group, which one of the accommodations is that Mrs. Levine will plan at least one lesson a week where he gets to work with friends, at least one, okay? So it'll be group work. So I can pull that whole group and target that group, and no one will know I pulled it because of Mario, okay? And but that those lessons are going to be specifically tailored to benefit him, okay? He's also going to have the advantage of learning from the other kids around him. So because of that fluidity, I'll be pulling kids to work with them anyway, and also because I pull kids from all over the school, and no one really knows why. And I know that he probably does have some anxiety over people knowing that maybe he needs extra special help, because that's kind of a normal thing for a lot of kiddos. And so what we try to do is just make it just a natural part of the day. And these kids work with a lot of different teachers. So even if he does come with me one-on-one, he may not be the only kiddo in the whole school that I'm pulling one-on-one. Like I say, I go to a lot of the classrooms, and sometimes I may even sit in there with him and work one-on-one. Okay? So we're going to try to make that as seamless as possible. We definitely don't want him to stand out or target him or label him. So, so he's going to be with me 4 days a week for 60 minutes for a total of 240 minutes a week of one-on-one time.
Oh.
Okay. So he'll be with me for a total of 240 minutes a week, which is a lot of time, but we do want to make sure that he is certainly on a path to be ready for high school and then for graduation.
Is
So,
your back okay?
It's
I don't know
fine.
if we were sitting here too long for your back.
oh, do you need a break?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Because we can certainly take a break.
The sooner we get this over with, the better.
Okay, then we'll keep going. Are you? Everybody else doing all right?
We're okay.
Okay. Anyone have questions so far?
Nope.
No questions? Okay. So other than the accommodations in the classroom, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second here, and then the time with me, he's going to have some other related services that go along with his IEP. The first one is counseling. So we're going to provide Mario with counseling one time a week for 60 minutes with our school counselor. And if you'd rather him do private counseling, you may pursue that. If you'd like, the counselor at the school is free to you, and it's right here on school, so we wouldn't have to pull him out or take him after school when he has sports or something like that. Also, the counselor would be here if he needed her. If for some reason he was having a hard time that day, if he was extra frustrated, we want to teach him to go and seek that help when you need it, instead of maybe having that outburst. And so having the counselor on site is a benefit, but that's
do you teach me how to handle him when he has an outburst at home?
So yeah, so the other part of that is that we would like to provide family counseling.
Because he's starting to get big.
Yeah, and that can be, when kids get bigger, even, my kid is up to here, and sometimes I'm like, goodness, I feel like you're like an adult, and it does get a little confusing. I can totally see where you have some concerns there. And parenting isn't easy for anybody. They don't give us a handbook, when they have the kids. So anytime we can get some extra help or support you, we're happy to do that. So the other part of that is family counseling service, and that will be made available for you and Mario, and that'll happen one time a month.
But my husband come.
We would like both of you there, yes.
Yeah, it probably won't work with my schedule.
Okay, so we can set it up on a day that would work for you, and it's only once a month for 60 minutes a month, and basically what we talk about is
Can't you
strategies.
find time to go to that?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, well, we'll definitely try to make it as convenient for you as possible, okay? And if that, we can certainly meet with you, like at your home or something like that, or at a park, someplace close by where you don't have to drive across town to the school. We can meet here. We'll be very flexible, and we're willing to make that work for you guys. Okay. So family counseling one time a month for 60 minutes. The counselor has a kind of like a series of things that she'll work on with you.
And do we have homework after that counseling meeting?
Not usually, just usually some strategies to try with Mario and see if they work. And then when you find maybe something isn't working, certainly she's at your disposal to give her a call. I need more strategies, or what should I do when he says this? What if I'm feeling angry? How should I react? You know, some just whenever you think you might need to check in. Basically, some strategies for you all to try. Did you need to step out for a minute? Should we take a break?
No, I'm good. I'm just messaging my friend.
Okay, give me a second. All right. So those things will support that behavior, the behavioral outburst we've been seeing, and hopefully we can give him some strategies to help him kind of decompress, understand why maybe he's getting upset, and help to avoid those outbursts. So I get frustrated when I forget my math stuff. I just forget it every day, and then I get mad, and then I'm embarrassed. And so what can we do to help Mario with that so he doesn't get to that point? And then also giving coping strategies for handling when he's upset or angry. The other thing that was
Don't you
mentioned,
guys bring the pencils and the papers?
not in middle school, they typically keep it at their locker. But one accommodation that we have in his IEP is that a textbook, a notebook, and a pencil will be kept in the classroom for him to alleviate that stress.
So is he supposed to be doing homework at night?
Mrs. Levine, does he have homework?
He does.
Oh, because I asked him and he says he doesn't have any. And he's usually asleep, so he just tells me no. When I ask him something and his dad's not there to back it up.
And I'm thinking sometimes it's not actually making it home, and I know when it does, it doesn't make it back to school, so we really have a hard time
Is
with
there
that.
a different way we can do it that we don't have that?
And that, yeah, that is set up.
So, yeah, so going forward with homework, so one thing you were worried about was him being able to just have those supplies in the classroom, which we will keep those in there, but those will stay for when he forgets. We do want to have him try to remember to bring that. We will work on rewarding him when he does remember his book and his pencil and his notebook. That's part of his behavior plan, is for him to be positively rewarded for that. So with regards to homework, his progress as part of his IEP is going to be coming home to you weekly on what assignments he's
Is there a
completed and how he's
specific day so I know which day to be looking at having in his backpack?
So we could send that home Friday. And if you'd like a call from the teacher or myself saying we're sending this home today,
Okay,
but it should
to
come
make
home
sure
every
it gets
Friday.
there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you can expect it. And we will communicate with Mario that those things will be being expected by you